All right, welcome back. Good to have you back with us on the SA Morning. I'm Gareth Edwards. The Public Works and Infrastructure Department is calling on stakeholders and the public to comment on the expanded Public Works program. We did hear from the Minister, Patricia de Lille, on that public comment's still open for now for a process that's been operating for more than 20 years, but coming to the public now to get their thoughts on that. Let's head back to the Minister, Patricia de Lille, still with us down in our Cape Town studios. Good morning again to you, Minister. I understand you are heading off to Parliament in about 10 minutes, so I really appreciate you staying with us for the next few minutes as well. Can we talk about a large amount of money for a moment? The department, your department, owing 83 million rand to municipalities. That's an awfully big credit card bill. Where are we in paying that back?
Well, Gareth, I can tell you in the past 2 years, we have improved from about 80% payment to just over 95% payment. There are reasons for some of the outstanding payments. And one of the reasons that we are grappling with, and that I have certainly put my foot down, is that wrong invoicing. We overcharge. And so what we do is to engage directly with the municipalities, and we do a reconciliation of invoices. And sometimes there seem to have been even 50% more than what we were supposed to be paying. So that system is now countrywide, and it does help us a lot. If municipalities, if we get the invoices on time, if we do the reconciliation on time, because I really want to make sure that there is no queries or audit findings from the Auditor General by overpayment. And the process is beginning to bear fruit. We can see the improvement. 83 million compared to about 1.5 billion that we are paying out. Yes, it's something that we need to be concerned about, but we're working on it all the time, Gareth.
And I see there are reports online, Minister, I'm sure you're aware of it, in IOL from a few days ago, a sum of 170 million rand over and above this 83 million rand. Do you have any idea where that's now come from? I see in the interview at the time you weren't able to give clarity. You were waiting for financials to come out. So what is this extra 170 million rand above the 83 million we're talking about? What do you understand about that?
Well, that is an amount that we say it's in dispute. And that is where the engagements will take place to find out exactly why is there such a big variant. And my department engage on a regular basis with the CFOs of municipalities and the municipal managers. So it's all work in progress. And once we have found a solution and we've reconciled on both sides, we will be able to say that this exactly is the correct amount. But we do investigate every big variant when it is just over 100 million or over 1 million. We do investigate. So that's work in progress also.
The Auditor General flagging irregularities when it comes to contracts awarded, Minister, during the KZN flooding as well. I see that the department, your department, furious about this as well. And as far as recourse is concerned, how are you hoping as a department to actually deal with this?
Gareth, we've acted very swiftly because we really wanted to avoid another PPE scandal like we've seen during COVID. And unfortunately, in any emergency, like in the emergency with the floods in KZN, some people saw opportunities again. So the Auditor General did a live active audit of all the contracts during the floods in KZN and alerted us early in May that already she is seeing some red lights flickering. Like, for instance, quotations of over 1 million rand issued to the same contract. Some of the state officials doing business with government. Some of the companies have just been registered on the government database like a few weeks ago. And a lot of irregularities was picked up by the Auditor General. We moved swiftly. we immediately summoned our KZN regional office. We took possession of all the invoices. We stopped payment to all the service providers until such time that the invoices can be verified.
Yeah.
And of course, we're working with the Office of the Auditor General, and I want to thank the Auditor General for the splendid work that they are doing, because normally the audit will come in at the end of a financial year, but with the active audits, we're able to pick it up much earlier. So we acted very swiftly as a department. We have also now put some of the issues before our Labour Relations Department for further investigation and consequence management. And hopefully we can send out a very strong signal that, it is just immoral that when people are in a flood situation where people's homes have been destroyed, where we've lost over 400 lives, that people still continue to think that they can take away from that little bit of money that's meant for the flood victims.
And when it comes to the kind of recourse, what would you like to see if anybody is found to have flouted the regulations, Minister, and it was in a position where you had a say over it? What should be happening to people that flouted regulations, that stole money, misappropriated, financial malfeasance? I can go on and on. What action should be taken against someone like that? Because we keep hearing in the reports of how people are being investigated for this, but when they're found guilty, they just move to other departments. What, in your mind, Minister, someone who's been around for a very long time in politics, what should happen to someone in a situation like that?
Well, first of all, anybody that steals from the poor during corruption should be in orange overalls and in jail and not in government. That is what I think should happen. But we also have to remember it is subject to due process. The law must take its course. We've got a very closely working relationship with the Special Investigating Unit. We've established an anti-corruption forum that's chaired by Advocate Motibe. All of these complaints and allegations also go there. And through the Special Investigating Tribunal, that's much faster and quicker than the courts, we've seen that the SIU has been able to recover a lot of that money, but also people have been charged criminally. And certainly for us, we will lay criminal charges with the police. I have already consulted Advocate Motibe, and we have passed on the information to them. But there's no shortcuts, Gareth. We have to follow due process. But at least we know that in the end, the poor people will get justice.
I certainly hope so. Minister, I'm going to ask you to, we talk about public works and infrastructure. I'll probably leave this as my last question to you as well, because I do know you need to get to Parliament for more meetings. Stage 6 load shedding, now stage 5 load shedding. I like to call it blackouts, of course. How much damage is this causing to your everyday work when you look at your portfolio, which is infrastructure A and public works? I mean, this must be setting you back something terrible. How damaging is the blackouts to your line of work in your department?
Well, excuse me, the blackouts are certainly very damaging to our economy. And when our economy is just beginning to show some green shoots, and then you get blackouts like this. And certainly the role of my department, everybody speaks about the supply of electricity, yes, but there's also the demand for electricity. And the one project that we are launching from the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure is that government must lead by example to drive down the demand. So we are going to install photovoltaic PV panels on the first pilot will be about 50 buildings, where we're going to put on the PV panels, so to save and to electricity and to drive down the demand. Part of the project is also water savings. But on the supply side, we will now get a report from the crisis committee to tell us how far they are with the plans that the President announced on the 25th of July. But we cannot continue like this. I know that Eskom is trying their utmost best. We've got a lot of old plants, and the best is that the deficit of electricity should now be filled with renewables. And so there's an opportunity to also transform and go for a just transition from fossil fuel to the renewable. But I think we need all South Africans, to also start help all of us to help to drive down the demand so that we balance it out. But it's critical. The impact is serious on all industries, also on infrastructure.
Minister, you've been someone who's been very close to the ground as well over your career in politics and hearing and listening to people on the ground over the years. When we hear government ministers say that it's up to the public to try and cut back on demand, I think many people would agree with you, but it almost sounds like shifting the blame and shifting the solution to those who are paying their taxes and those who are now having to suffer, who had no say over how Eskom was managed and how badly managed it was, and now it's the public's fault and the public's issue to deal with. Does that seem unfair that you're hearing this from people on the ground?
No, that's not what I'm saying, Gareth. I am saying that government must lead by example by reducing the demand on government-owned buildings. And, it's like when you have a drought situation, you've got a limited amount of water. Here we've got a limited amount of electricity. It will help if you can also, with the lack of supply, also reduce the demand. So I'm not saying that people who are struggling already, some people still don't have access to electricity, that we are in all of this together, both public and private sector. And if you can do your bit from a community level, from a private sector level, from government, we must all do it together to also try and help to reduce the demand until we are out of this crisis. So I'm not shifting the blame at all, Gareth. I experience it myself, and many families do, and the inconvenience it causes on many households. And really, we must now start getting to actual dates when this renewable is going to come on, that, we need to deal with the red tape. We need to make sure that we focus on implementation, because it's not that the plans are not there. The failure comes with implementation, and that's where we must all put our energy into now going forward.
Minister, I'll leave this as a very brief final answer from you. I know you're about to head out back to Parliament on this. What do you make of the report, just to get your thoughts as a minister? Many people saying that they live in areas, not necessarily in Cape Town, around Joburg and Pretoria, where areas where ministers are living are not getting load shed. Have you heard anything about this? What do you know about that? What do you make of it?
No, the only thing that I'm aware of, Gareth, is that there are certain areas where, but I know it's not applicable to all hospitals, for instance. In some areas where people live close by a hospital, for instance, there will not be load shedding. But it doesn't apply. Some hospitals, especially in Gauteng, also still struggle with when it's load shedding. So it is the impact is felt across the nation on all of the sectors. But in terms of the point around the point really, Gareth, was that my department supplied generators to ministerial homes, the ministers and the deputy ministers. In fact, in terms of the security assessment and what has happened was that the Department and Public Works of Infrastructure supply generators as and when needed by ministers. But many of these residents have got generators already from long time ago. It was I mean, we've been having these problems since 2008 already. Thank you.
Minister, I appreciate the clarity on that. I really do, and I appreciate your time. Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Patricia de Lille, wide-ranging discussion, and I thank her for her time in joining us here on eNCA.